So the idea came along in 2019.
Okay. So you've been together for 8-9 years at this point. Yeah.
So my nephew, DeMarlo, he told me today, Auntie, make up your mind. Say either nephew or son. Don't be saying nephew, son. So I said it all.
Yeah.
So my nephew graduated from Edmond North in 2019. He said, Auntie, will you give me a graduation meal?
Yeah.
And I said, sure, absolutely. What's on the menu? And he says, well, of course we have to have Uncle Larry's fried chicken, and you have to use Orton Seasonings. And so I said, okay. So I reached out to my cousin, who also, I sing in an all-female chorus group called Women in Need of God Sing.
Okay.
And so does she, and she's a caterer.
Yeah.
So I said, DeMarlo wants a graduation dinner. Can you help me? I said, but you have to use our seasonings, Orton Seasonings. She said, I didn't know y'all had a seasonings. And so I said, yeah. And I said, we've been eating on it since 2011. And so in 2019, she cooked with it. And she said, girl, I can't stop eating this chicken, because she wanted to, test it out and see how much season she needed to put on it and so forth. And so she said, I can't stop eating the chicken. And so then after the meal, she said, it's some extra seasoning. Can I take it? And I said, sure. And so she called me back like a week later, and she said, girl, we put this stuff on everything. We call it the house season. We stopped calling it Orton season. We call it the house season. You can put this in a bottle and sell it.
Yeah.
And I said, really? So I said, okay. So then I Googled, how do you start a seasonings company?
Yeah.
I would get on my bike and I would just Google and listen to those YouTube stations. So I said, Larry, I think we got something going.
Yeah.
And so I want to show you this right here, okay?
Yeah.
So this is what you always saw in our cabinets. Larry would write Orton Seasonings on all these bottles. Literally, you open up the pantry, you would see like 10 bottles like this.
And he'd just make it handmade at home?
And he'd put it in the pantry, yes. And so this is what we would be eating on for all those years. So DeMarlo knew about Orton Seasonings because it's written on there.
Yeah.
And so after we made up a batch, I went to our first vending event, because we also have a T-shirt company called In God We Trust Designs.
Okay.
And so with that, we had these little bottles right here. I made up like 20 of these, and I made up another little label, and I wanted to see how it was going to turn out. So these are like 2.5 ounces, got these from Amazon, right? Yeah. And so I put them on the table, and they sold like I don't know what. I didn't have a card.
Just farmer's market type? Where'd you sell them?
It was at Northeast Church of Christ.
Okay.
They had a entrepreneurial vending show, and so I wanted to participate in it. And so that's where I was attending before I met Larry at Northeast Church of Christ. So I went there. I had our T-shirts on the table, and I had 20 of these little bottles. Yeah. And someone came up to me and they said, "This season is delicious, but you should be charging more for it."
Yeah.
And so I kept her name to the back of my head for a reason. So I decided, you know what? In one of our T-shirt company packages, I was doing some packages. We made up an apron for Langston University, and we put some of these bottles in each one of the subscription aprons. It's a subscription package, and it was a hit.
Yeah.
So I said, man, I gotta figure this out. So this, from here to this bottle, I reached out to a friend of mine who is a designer, and I gave her the vision that I wanted for the label. Because the friend of mine that had the seasonings at the vending show, she said, you need to charge more. She told me, make you a label. She told me where I should go to do it. I was like, thank you for that information. She says, I want the best for you. That's the good thing about people. You have the right people in your community that want to help you move forward. Yeah. So we came up with this label here. And you really can't see it, but it says, you only need one spice in your cupboard, and that's Ortons House Seasonings. It's magic in a bottle, and it's got the ingredients on it, and it's got our little logo. And so the logo is orange and blue because that's Langston University's colors. Yeah. So I wanted that, and it says established in 2011 because that's when Larry and I was married. Yeah. So I gave that to my friend who's a designer, and she also sings in the group Wings with us also. Yeah. And she came up with this the first time. I said, put some forks and knives and a spoon on there and some spices, and this is the design she came up with. And I was like, cool, this is it. Yeah. And so from this bottle, we were doing a whole lot of mixing. One time we had 200 orders in one weekend.
Oh, wow.
And Larry said, we have got to find someone to co-pack this for us. This is too much. So a friend of a friend of a friend who is a co-packer, Larry called him. And he said, is this Larry Orton? And Larry says, is this Eric Womack? He said, yes. He says, man, how are you doing? They knew each other 30 years ago.
Oh, wow.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
And so we gave him the recipe. We met him the next day. We gave him our recipe. He made it up. After the third time, I said, this is it. So now we no longer make it ourselves.
Yeah.
We go and get these bottles right here. So this is our bottle right now. And so the label's a lot more professional. It's got a scan on it. So now we're in 19 stores.
Amazing.
It still carries the same, you only need one spice in the cupboard, because that's exactly what this season is, you know. Everything in here is in this bottle that you need to sprinkle it on your food. And it's magic in the bottle actually came from one of our customers in Atlanta. She said, this is delicious. It's like magic in a bottle. I said, whoa.
Put that on the label.
Can I put that on the label? And she said, absolutely. I said, do I owe you anything? She says, no, I am here to make sure that you and Larry strive.
That's awesome.
So I put that on the bottle. And then a friend of mine did a website for us. Yeah. And here we are, you know. That's like crazy. I said, we're in 2 years, we are in 50 stores. I mean, not 50 stores, 50 states, online sales. We are in 18 stores in the Oklahoma City area. We're on 3 food trucks. Actually, I'm sorry, 4 food trucks. One is in Texas, one's in Jackson, Mississippi, and then 2 of them is in Oklahoma City. One is in Arcadia, and then another one is a travel one. They go around all over Oklahoma City, Spencer area and stuff like that. And we just got into a restaurant 2 months ago in Choctaw, Charlie's Sports Bar and Grill. And so they call our seasons the 405 dry rub, and they put that on their chicken wings, bone in and bone out, and on all their vegetables. It's cool, Mike. It's cool.
That's so cool.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.